Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, and today I'll be doing a video update of my blue Moscow guppy breeding tank. As per the request of some of my viewers here on YouTube, figured, okay, I was sick for a little bit, so I wasn't able to upload any videos recently. But now seems like a good time. I'm finally getting over my sickness, so I can actually start talking again. So, first off, I want to address two things. The tank is a little messy at the moment, but don't worry, it doesn't affect the fish in any way. As you can see, there's a bit of poo kind of sitting there, and that's because of my bushy-nosed pleco. Peaches over here cleans the glass constantly, and he makes sure everything's nice and clean. And I got my Colorcraft battery vacuum that I use to clean up poo every single day. I just haven't done it yet, because if I do that right now, it'll stir up detritus and everything and cloud up the water for the next half hour or so. So I'm going to do it after I'm done with the video. And likewise, on this side, there's another bushy-nosed pleco, little Peter, and he hides inside the driftwood, but his function is the same, is to keep the glass clean and free of algae. So I don't have neorites in here to do that because I still have assassin snails all over the place, trying to get rid of all these Malaysian trumpet snails that I absolutely hate. So getting that out of the way, and one more thing I want to address is you may notice this big foam piece for the divider. It's because, as I was saying in a previous video, I had to use 2 layers of divider in order to prevent the boys and the girls from being able to cross it. So you'll see it's kind of brown here. This brown buildup is a mixture of general detritus, bacteria, and a number of other things that they're not harmful to the fish in any way, shape, or form. It is a little unsightly just because, well, it's brown and it looks kind of gross, but you know, it doesn't do anything other than preventing the girls and the boys from crossing the barrier. I just wanted to point that out because I know people are going to point it out and say, ew, that looks nasty, but realistically, if the fish could get at it, they would peck at it and eat it as food, because if you notice on this side there's no brown, and that's because the boys pick at the brown stuff as food. That just kind of grows. So it's just because that plastic layer is behind the acrylic layer. The girls can't peck at it and clean it like the boys do on the other side. But that's just one of the side effects of what I have to do to keep the boys and girls separate, unfortunately. And one thing to remember, this is not a show tank. This is a breeding tank. So there's not a lot of aesthetic amenities out there. The functionality is what's most important with this tank. So that's why I'm not really too concerned about the way things look. I just want the inhabitants to be happy, healthy, and, you know, not want for anything. So that's my main goal. So it's a nice 40 breeder. Each side is 20 gallons, which is pretty decent, given, you know, they're guppies. So they don't take up much space, and I sell them pretty quick. But speaking of the guppies, let's talk about the boys. Because I know a lot of the guys, everyone wants to see the boys. And you'll see they got a lot of color to them now, much more than the last video I showed. You can see some boys are better than others. Some blues are more vibrant than others. Some are more of like a platinum blue or a light purple. And some of them haven't got their full body color yet, but they are getting there, slowly but surely. And they're all just happy little wiggles going to and fro. And they get fed every day. And if we can get a closer picture, maybe of some of them, they move so fast that it's just hard to keep, you know, the camera on them at all. You know, the ones in the back there, some of those blues are absolutely gorgeous. But here's the thing, a lot of these blues don't meet the stringent requirements that I set for breeding them, because I am continuing to refine the genetics to ensure that the offspring will become a reliable, beautiful, vibrant blue. Which, as I was talking about in a previous video of mine, takes a very long time to refine the genetics of a Moscow guppy. especially when it's not something common like a black Moscow guppy. That as far as recessive genes go, black color tends to be easier to isolate than colors like blue. So it's going to take a while to get just right. And if you'll notice, you see babies, baby fishies. I haven't scooped them out yet, and I'm not in any hurry to do so because blue musk or any guppy males, they just don't care about babies being around them. They'll swim around and take a look at them, but they really don't eat them. And as I was saying before in a previous video, this mesh right here, it's a fine mesh, but it's just big enough for the babies, the newborns, to squeeze through into the side where the males are. And I'll get little congregations of like maybe 10, 20 baby Moscows, guppies in the male side at one time, and the males just don't pay no mind to them. So, there's that. And then we go over to the girls, and it's not too much of a different story here. They still got 20 gallons to themselves. They got the bubbler and everything on this side. One of my girls is right here. You'll see she is boxy as crazy. And this is kind of peculiar because she's been like this for almost a month now. And I'm getting concerned about her. This was the blue Moscow female that I had in the hospital tank for about a month previous to putting her back in. She doesn't seem to exhibit too many signs of difficulty swimming for the most part. She is kind of awkwardly, finagling about. I think that's due to her big, size. And I was asking around on the internet. Everyone keeps telling me she's just extremely pregnant and maybe she's a little bit overfed and that it's nothing to worry about. But I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I believe that she is indeed pregnant, but I have never had a guppy so pregnant that they become boxy like that. So that's certainly something to keep my eye on. She doesn't have any pustules or any signs of like internal parasites that I can tell. So maybe she is just extremely preggers. And if she is, man, there's going to be a lot of babies. So I'm just going to have to keep an eye on her. All the other girls, though, are doing absolutely fine. In fact, over here in the fry tank, where all of the guppy fry swim about freely, safe from their parents, there was a few of them, or at least one of them, that was big enough to take out of the fry tank and put in with the girls. So that's nice that they're growing. And I do have a working theory about fry tanks. Now, for the longest time, I had used, and hold on just a second, I had used breeder nets. And this one needs to be clean because I haven't used it in a while. But I would use the breeder net and I'd have it in there, and it worked fine. But one thing I noticed with breeder nets is the guppies, the fry took a really long time to grow. And I have a feeling maybe that confining them to a breeder net until they're big enough is almost like the equivalent of putting a goldfish in a bowl. You're stunting its growth. So that's why I decided to dedicate what would normally be something that I would use to raise shrimp into a fry tank to see if they grew any better. And in fact, they are growing faster, they're healthier, because they get to swim around a lot more, and they get to be with each other in a nice warm environment where they get more personalized attention from just from the fact that they're fry. So I can feed them specific foods. And one of the foods that I feed my fry, and this takes me a really long time to make because it's kind of a pain in the butt to do here, but I'm going to show you. Right here, every once in a while, hopefully around once a week, these are freeze-dried bloodworms, but they're chopped up essentially almost into the form of dust. So that way even baby fry can eat them. And it's important that baby fry get a good amount of protein for their growth. And the tank is not set to anything particularly too fancy. Actually, this thermometer's for down there, sorry. This tank is around 75, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, which is good for the fry. And they love bloodworms. I mean, every fish does. And that's what it looks like when it goes in. You see the babies go at it right away. And there's really no need to pre-soak it when you get it that fine. I have a special knife that I use, and it takes like maybe 20-30 minutes of chopping to get the bloodworms all the way down to the point where fry can eat them. So this is a nice little treat that they enjoy a lot, that helps them eat. And when they don't eat bloodworms, because I only feed it to them once a week, they eat the same kind of fish flake food that their parents do, which would be, yeah, I can make my little feeder go, because I used metered amounts of food. Very finely crushed fish flakes. And whatever fish flakes don't get eaten, Peaches, the pleco down here, be more than happy to get, and my little ghost shrimp is more than happy to eat them too. But what's nice is I've got these flakes fine enough to where even the fry that come over to the side where the boys are can get some fish flake food as well to help start giving them nutrition. And I'll be scooping these guys later out of this tank today to put them in with the fry tank, and that's where they'll be for the next few months until they get big enough to go with either the boys or the girls, whichever sex they happen to be. So besides just some routine cleaning that needs to be done, everything is going pretty good.